Hi there, Brian here, Dr. Brian on Tuesday the 13th. And it's the end of the day, so I thought I'd do a quick touch base and update you on what's happening and ask a few questions of you. So I'm looking at a client today and we're tracking a frozen shoulder which is improving significantly in 2 weeks, which is good because the natural history of a frozen shoulder is 2 years and no one wants to wait that long. But what's interesting when we look at the body, it's very layered and there's often a convergence of triggers that when they come together create that stubborn area that's slow to change. So today I checked one of the stabilizers of the shoulder, which is serratus anterior, and that was quite weak. And then in a analysis process, it was indicating that it was related to lung. Now I won't explain everything because that's a weekend seminar in itself. So when we're looking at that, we're looking at what's happening, if you like, through the health of the organs, the relationship between muscles and organs and feedback loops, and then how the body sees itself in 3 dimensions and works together with gravity, structure, neural patterns, movement patterns, thoughts, emotions, and organ health. So what we've found in our process is that often you get a level of progress and then things will grind to a halt. And it isn't necessarily that people are being incompliant or they're not helping themselves, but you've often run up against another component within the system that actually is a point of weakness, and it actually feeds into the condition that we're working with. And until you resolve that, you can't get better. So it's in all systems. So in a business, if you've got a particularly weak department or a weak team member, they will often be the limiting factor, and the whole system can't move forward until that area of weakness, that in some things would be called critical pathway, that's where the chicane or the squeeze point is, and that slows down the process. And until that's resolved, you won't really see the level of improvement that you're looking for. So when we look at a body, we're actually looking at it in all sorts of complexities, starting with the obvious and resolving that, and then let the body show us what it needs next. The brain knows the body intimately, and the only time it doesn't is when you're some way in a wheelchair or in some debilitated form where the brain and the body aren't in clear communication because of some interruption to the spinal cord supply between the extremities and the central nervous system. So when we're looking at the body and the body knows itself and the brain is the ultimate recorder of what's going on, there are various techniques and ways that you can actually get the body to let us know where it's up to. And often when you look at it with a certain analysis prism, the body's telling you, because it's telling you on what it can and can't do. And once you see and understand that, I'm changing hands, it's not you, it's me, that's actually what allows you to get to the next level of improvement. So it's very satisfying to both practitioner and client to actually see these levels of movement forward. And often when you chip away at each of them in a cycle of appointments where you're doing one thing after the other, you're getting this cumulative improvement. And when you come back to the first thing, you're seeing a big change. The key thing is to stay methodical, logical, and organized, because if you don't do that, then the input becomes scattered and it doesn't really fall on fertile ground. You do need to create the basis to begin with that gives the body the ability to change, because it will always have a hierarchy of needs, and if the underlying hierarchy or underlying needs aren't supplied, then things you do will have a short-lived effect and then they'll die off. But like a seed that'll sprout on very shallow soil and then die off when it can't provide roots and actually can't get nourishment. So we don't want to do that. We want to actually get a lasting result. And so that's about patience, logic, and a process that will actually let the body heal itself, given the right resources at the right time. And that's what we're very good at, which is very exciting. That's why people come to see us. And someone who we've got a report on Thursday, she's not seen a chiropractor before. She was very concerned about seeing one, partly because she'd had a back fracture 18 years ago. And if you like, felt that a spinal manipulation and the classical rotational sort would be bad, and I would agree 100%, so I would have said it was well advised. However, when we did some work with her, she actually felt quite different the next day. So there was a pain in her back that was different, like work rather than strain, and some of the initial problem that she had, which was pain down her legs, that resolved. So that's quite cool when you see sort of an almost immediate shift. Now the trick will be to support and manage that body in change so that we don't push it sideways or backwards, but actually allow it to find its own footing and move forward and create strength where it's needed, so that the currently wildly overloaded tissue that has no capacity to do extra work actually has its focus of load bearing taken off it. So that's where curves come in, and that's just really dumb and simple geometry and physics. So I say dumb and simple. It's so bleeding obvious, it's often overlooked, and we're looking for really fancy, smart things that are the problem. But actually it's just like, well, that building will fall over if you don't stand it up. It's not that complex. So 6.5 minutes, no, nearly 7. I'm going to bid you a farewell. And the thought is that everything is logical, everything has a reason. Always the key to getting to the bottom of anything is understanding the system, finding where the squeeze point or the weakness is, and going there and resolving things so that you can really create that abundant strength and flow that lets things move and change. And the same thing happens in your brain and beliefs. That's another topic. Okay, all the best. Bye for now.